Hey, this is Fish from Pallet Town PvP, and we are going to take a look at the basics of the Mountain Cup meta in just 5 minutes. Now, this is just your basic look, just to get the ball rolling for you to be able to do your own research beyond that. If you want a complete breakdown of the meta with all the information kind of handed to you on a silver platter, we live stream a chat here on this channel every Tuesday night US time, which you can check out the link for this week's chat in the description, or you can click here. In the meantime, this is your basics, and it's actually kind of hard to nail down a core meta for this cup, so we're just going to go through each of the 4 types that are allowed and talk about all the prominent picks in those types. So the types are Steel, Ground, Ice, and Rock, and of those 4, the most prominent by far is your Steel types. If we narrow down to Steel, you've got your counter users at the top there. Escavalier and Lucario. I prefer Escavalier. It's rated 100 out of 100 as a pivot or a safe switch. Its only main worries, in fact, both of their main worries are your ghosts and your flyers. There's not too many flyers around. There's not too many ghosts. There are some very prominent ones, which we'll get to. The other thing that Escavalier and Lucario normally fear is fire, but there's really not much fire going around in this meta. There is one fire user that I am liking, which we'll get to soon, but yeah, they're both pretty darn safe. And then Lucario with the Shadow Ball can pick up some of those ghosts that Escavalier will struggle with, which makes me think that double counter is not that bad a strategy. You've got Ferrothorn, which for me by far is the best grass type in the meta with its steel typing. Its matchup against Diggersby is not the best. In fact, it's losing against Diggersby because those fire punches are just coming way quicker than the power whips, which do about 50% damage to a Diggersby. We all know what Registeel and Galarian Stunfisk can do, so no need to talk about them. But I like Berserker here with that particular combination of movesets and its balance between fast move damage and charge move damage as well. So a close combat will take out like 2/3 of an Escavalier. So if you add that to your Shadow Claw damage as well, you can like close out a game that way. We've also got Kartana, which has the same typing as Ferrothorn, much glassier. Ferrothorn has a stat product of like 2,000, and Kartana has a stat product of like 1,300. So it's very glassy. That's like Haunter levels of glassy. However, with the Razor Leaf, combined with that high attack stat, that can do some work. Like, it can beat Frostlass, where Ferrothorn has a lot more trouble. So that's kind of the biggest advantage of your Kartana. Then you've got Empoleon, Skarmory, and Shadow Mawile is the last steel that I want to look at. I'm really liking Firefang Shadow Mawile in this particular meta against some of the most prominent picks. So take a look at that one. So next up we have the Grounds. And Diggersby is rated top. It's kind of polarizing. Its main job is your steel killer, but then it doesn't do particularly well against your Mud Boys or even Frostlass. Even with Fire Punch, it's only doing like 37% damage to a Frostlass, whereas the Avalanche is doing a lot more. You've got, your Mud Boys do kind of similar things. They are steel killers, keep them away from grass. And then you've got Shadow Gliscor, which I really like because Shadow Gliscor is normally afraid of ice and water in particular. And there's like the biggest ice Pokemon is going to be Frostlass, which it's got the Night Slash to threaten back. And there's really not much water damage going around. There's Marshtomp with Surf, and there's Empoleon, there's Lapras with Surf, but there's really not much beyond that. So I like Shadow Gliscor here. There's also Shadow Donphan is going to be introduced into the meta on the weekend, and take a look at that because that's actually got some reasonable matchups. And Runagrigus technically loses to Frostlass, but has better potential to farm down and also bait, which Frostlass doesn't have that advantage. You've got your ice types. I don't like Abomasnow when Ferrothorn is in the meta. It's just not really getting enough of an advantage over Ferrothorn. Walrein is good. Frostlass is going to be the most popular ice type going around. But I actually like Lapras because it has better matchups against Steels, against Mud Boys, against Walrein, and against Frostlass itself. So of the ices, Lapras is my favorite. I'll just throw in like a Dugong and a Alola Ninetales as well as being pretty viable. And then finally, you've got the poor rock Pokemon, which There is not much of that going around. I do kind of like Credilli. Credilli is winning against the Diggersby. It's not doing particularly well against the Steel types, but then if you land a Stone Edge against an Escavalier, that can flip that matchup. It's doing alright. Relicanth can be like a nice Frostlass killer. Can do pretty well against the Steel types. And then you've got Regirock as well, which again, Frostlass killer. Not doing too much for me on that. It can hit a lot of Steels with Focus Blast as well. But that is it for the Mountain Cup meta. Let us know in the comments what you are thinking of running, what teams you're thinking of putting together to join in the conversation and help someone else who might be struggling to work the meta out. Good luck with your Mountain Cup battles.